Hello and welcome to this online guitar lesson where I'm going to be teaching you how to play The Wind Cries Mary by Jimi Hendrix. The way I'm going to work this lesson is I'm going to break it up into two sections. Where I'm going to first of all show you just the chord pattern for the different parts of the song. There's only really a few different parts in it. There's an intro riff as well which we're going to cover. And then in the second half I'm going to show you some different ideas that you can use to add some extra notes and fills into these chords. A big part of playing in the style of Jimi Hendrix is that he often didn't really stick to just your standard chord shapes. He'd play the chords sticking to the same shape at the time. He would often throw a lot of these fills all these different notes that are going on at the same time. It's basically just building the minor or major pentatonic around a certain chord shape and then just utilising notes from that to embellish what we've got. But we'll come to that in the second section. I want to start off by going through the intro first of all. So I'm just going to play it slowly, play it for you up to speed, then a little bit slower, and then I'll break it down bit by bit. Cool. So what we're starting with is we have a power chord shape based on the 6th fret of the A string, sorry. So we have index finger on the 6th fret of the A, ring finger on the 8th fret, and pinky is going to be on the 8th fret of the G string. So we have this standard power chord shape that you'd use for loads of other songs. And then we're climbing up chromatically up to F. So we've got 6th fret on E flat power chord, E power chord 7th fret, and then an F power chord with the low note rooted on the 8th fret of that string. So altogether we have this. Second half of the intro riff, we have this. So what we're doing for that is it's basically a similar kind of idea. We're climbing up chromatically, and it's the same rhythm as well that's played as the power chords in the first section. So what we're essentially doing is we're barring the A string, the D string, and the G string at the 6th fret. But then as we play it, we're hammering on with the ring finger onto the 8th fret of the A string, sorry, whilst keeping the D and the G string notes ringing out at the same time. And then once we've done that, climb up a fret and do the same thing. And then again till you get to this chord here, which is supposed to be based around an F chord. So again, to recap the intro, this is what we've got. When we come to the end of the intro, so we play that twice through, and on the second time when we come to that F chord, what we're doing is we're playing a little fill which goes something like this. You don't need to necessarily play it exact as that, as long as you're kind of getting the sort of major pentatonic notes there based around the F chord, you'll be fine. So all we're doing is after we've played our little hammer-on riff there, we keep this finger on these same frets, on the same strings, and then we have a hammer-on, we play the D string at the 8th fret, and then hammer-on with the ring finger up to the 12th fret. Sorry, 8th fret, though that's the 10th fret. So you're hitting the D and the G string both at the same time, so you're wanting this double stop, and then after you've hammered on there, we do the same again, except we hammer on to the 12th fret of the G from the 10th fret. So, and then lift the finger off and play the 10th fret of the G string again to finish. So, should sound like this. And that's the end of the intro before going back into the verse. So I'll just play that part slowly for you. So for this next section, I'm going to be showing you the verse chords. This is the only really other section there is, other than the intro part. The intro part is obviously repeated a couple of times throughout the song. So for this next section, we've got what I would call the verse chords, but there's also the sort of lead in up to the intro section as well, which comes up which I'll probably be covering in the next section, but for this one I'm just going to go over the chords for the verse. So we have, to start off, I'll just play it through it slowly for you. I'll play it up to speed first and then I'll break it down bit by bit. So we have... Okay, so the first set of chords we have all using bar chords here, mainly bar chords here. We have a C major bar chord rooted on the A string, so we have index finger covering the 3rd fret, and then I would use the ring finger covering the 5th fret on the D, the G and the B strings. And then we come down to a B chord, but the B chord is only played really briefly. It's treated more as a passing chord before going to our B flat chord, which is 1 fret down. So we're almost climbing down chromatically, excuse me, to get to this B flat chord. So it's the same chord shape, we're just moving it down a fret at a time essentially. So we only have the 1 chord stab on the B before we go to the B flat. Like I said, you're not wanting to play that too long, you're just wanting playing it the once before going to the B flat chord. And then we have an F chord. Now you could play it as a full bar chord shape like that, but I'm going to recommend you play it like this, where you've got first finger on the 1st fret of the B and the E strings, middle fingers on the G string at the 2nd fret, and the ring fingers covering the 3rd fret on the D string. The reason we're doing this is because there's a little sort of riff kind of fill thing that Jimi Hendrix plays in the recording, which is... So all we're doing there is we're essentially, after we've strummed the chord, so we have... What we're doing is we're lifting the middle finger off and playing the G string open with the rest of the notes of the chord, hammering it on, back to the note we had, and then repeating that again. And then lifting the finger off for one last time and playing the chord with the open G before coming back to the C chord. So slowly together that should sound like this. Cool. So we have that repeated about 3 times, I think it's played all together. Also the little riff here, we're hammering on from the open G string to the 2nd fret for the F chord. You don't necessarily have to play that every time. It does work if you want to play it through every time that chord's meant to be played. It's just a little, like a sort of idea. There's a lot of other ideas you can use similar to that with the other chords in this song, which I'm going to cover later on in this lesson. So after we've played that 3 times, we come to the next part, which is almost like the lead-in back to the intro riff. So if we imagine this is the last time through that chord progression, we have... So that part there, we're coming up to play a G bar chord. So the same sort of shape we were using for the F chord, we want to bring that up. And the reason we're using this is because in the next section I'm going to be showing you ways that you can use the pinky to throw in extra notes around that chord. So we're going to be using this chord shape here. We then raise it up 3 frets to a B flat major chord. So then we have the first part of the intro riff played again. So the power chord's going up to the 8th fret. We then come back to our G major chord that we just played. Back to the B flat. Instead of just playing that first half of the intro, we'll play the second half after that. So we've essentially got like a full, sort of like maybe like half an intro at that point. So altogether that section should sound like this. and then back into our verse progression from there. So altogether, I'm just going to play one verse through just from the intro, just so you can get an idea. And so on and so on. Okay, so that pretty much covers us for the rest of it. The rest of the actual song structure. I'm going to be covering the solo in a different lesson. There is a separate rhythm part that's played from the solo, although I can't remember how it's at, like the proper chord structure. But I'm going to include that with the solo, which I'm going to be doing in my next lesson. However, on the next section of this particular video, I'm going to be going through some different ideas that you can use to embellish the chords and show you how to maybe use like certain scales to just make it sound more interesting. So I'll see you in the next section. So for this section in the lesson, what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be going back through the chord progression that I just shown you in the last part, but then I'm going to show you some of the notes that you can throw in to make it a little bit more interesting, some of the bits you can use to embellish the chord progression. So we're just going to start with the verse chord progression I showed you. Because these bar chord shapes, what we can do is if we... Oh, wait a minute. We'll cut that bit, it's cool. Is that easy enough to do? Aye.
Yeah. You there?
Should be fine.
Went out of tune quite easily.
You set up. Right, cool, right. Start that bit again, right. Right, for this next section, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going through the chord progression I've just shown you in the last part. I'm going to be showing you different ways that you can add notes from the major scales to embellish the chord shapes. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start with the first chord progression I showed you. So we have our C, B, to the B flat, to the F. I'll also show you maybe like other chord shapes that you can maybe use for some of the chords as well. So right, coming to the C chord, what we're going to do is instead of playing it this standard bar chord shape, we're going to take our index finger, we're going to leave out the low note, and what we're going to do is we're going to bar D, G and the B strings at the 5th fret. So this allows us to have the rest of our fingers free for throwing in extra notes. So a common sort of Jimi Hendrix idea that's used in a lot of his rhythm playing is there's 3 notes mainly that we can use here to add to embellish this chord, right? We've got, for this particular chord, we've got the 7th fret on the D string, 7th fret on the G string, and the 8th fret on the B. So what we're going to be doing here is, normally it's done, hammer-ons are quite a common way of doing this, so what we're going to do is we're going to strum our new 3-note C chord. We're going to use the index finger to hammer on the 7th fret of the D string. So normally what you might find is you could hammer it on, take it off and strum the chord as it was, and then add the index finger onto the 7th fret of the G string. Again, this isn't like a set way to play the song. These are just little things that you can experiment with. Which is the beauty of this style of music, is that it's never really played the same way twice, which is kind of what makes it more fun. So this is a way that you can almost like improvise rhythm guitar as well. And we can use the pinky on the 5th fret as well, and we can have, so a little example I'll give you, you can have, so there we have the chord being strummed, and then we're hammering onto the 7th fret of the D, lifting the finger off, playing the chord shape again, and then taking the same finger and playing it on the 7th fret of the G string instead. So what we're doing is, these are notes that are from the sort of C major pentatonic scale. So we have, and then we could even have the 7th fret, hammer on at the 7th fret, play the chord shape, pinky on the 8th fret, and then back to our triad chord. So, and then, since we're going to be using a similar idea to the B chord, what we could do is we could just play, since on the B chord, the passing chord, we're not going to bother with any fills on that bit, because it's only meant to be a quick chord stab before going to the next chord. It's only a passing chord. We don't really want to draw too much attention to it. And then the same sort of idea that we had in the C chord, we can use the index finger to play the note 2 frets above on the D string, 2 frets higher on the G string, and the 3 frets higher on the B string. So a little example you could use for that. Normally what we'd maybe want to do in this particular context is to have a little figure or idea we can use for the C chord. We have our passing chord, then maybe a different idea on the B flat chord. Just because since it's a different chord, you want to maybe develop the idea. You don't just want to be playing the same chord fill sort of idea on each chord. So we maybe want to use different frets, different notes. So instead, I was using just this extra note on the C chord. Then when I came to the B flat chord, I was using it again, but then changing it up by using the pinky on the 6th fret, which is 3 frets higher than this note, which is part of the normal chord shape. Then when we come to our F chord, obviously I did show you the one with the hammer on, so with the open G again, hammering on at the 2nd fret, and obviously at the same time we're still keeping these fingers on as part of the F chord. But another idea you can use here for this chord shape, and this is why I recommended you use these chord shapes, is because we can then use the pinky to add some extra notes. The extra notes we can have, we could put the pinky onto the 3rd fret of the G string, 3rd fret of the B string, or the 3rd fret of the high E string. So if we're doing on the G string, we have a sus4 movement. So what we're doing is we're raising this note, which would be our A note, up to a B flat, whilst keeping the rest of the chord playing, obviously. And then we can do the same idea, coming to the G chord. Before coming to our intro again. So the F chord, another chord shape you can use, is going to be a similar idea of what we've done with the C chord. So we're going to take the shape up and play an F major bar chord with the low note rooted on the 8th fret of the A string. Instead we've got the ring finger bar on these 3. And we're obviously going to cut out that low note, and then we're going to create a triad F major chord using the index finger on the 10th fret of the D, the G and the B strings. And then same idea again, same kind of idea, the same set of notes that we can add around this to create the fills. So we can have the 12th fret on the D, 12th fret on the G, or 13 on the B. And we can obviously play these and swap going between them and back between our triad chords. So, and another idea that's good to work on the F chord in this particular song is using the middle finger on the 11th fret, which creates our sus4 idea. So it's a similar idea. It's the exact same kind of sort of chord. It's just a different register. So we're just playing it a little bit higher up than what we are with this particular shape. So I'm just going to play through a few ideas maybe that you can use slowly, and just to give you an idea of how it could sound, or how you might decide to structure your fills. So really, it's up to yourselves what notes you really want to use. As long as you're using notes from them that are sort of part of the major pentatonic scale, or even the full major scale, if we're talking about the sus4, being built around these different chord shapes. And again, this is something that you can use for other songs as well. It's not just this song or anything by Jimi Hendrix. It's just a style that that's what he's popular for. It's a really distinctive part of his rhythm playing. So I think this song's a really good chance for people to practice these kind of things and find a way of working them into their own playing. Also, another sort of idea you can use is we're going to be swapping these first three chords for different voicings as well. So instead of having the bar chord shapes and using the triads, we're using a similar idea to these kind of chord shapes where we're bringing this shape up to the 8th fret. So we have our index finger on the 8th fret, middle finger on the 9th fret of the G string, and the ring finger on the D string at the 10th fret. So this is our C chord now. This is just a different voicing for a C chord. B, then our B flat. So same kind of shape, same ideas. So and we can swap between using the different voicings if we want. We don't necessarily need to stick to the one voicing for the verse or whatever. You can sort of swap between doing the different ones as well, which again is just things that you can practice and sort of add to your repertoire. So yeah, so that brings us to the end of the lesson. I hope you all managed to get something from that, and thanks for watching. In the next follow-up to this video, I'm going to be going through the solo and also the chord pattern for the solo as well. Thanks for watching.